Have you ever finished a book and thought, what am I going to pick up now? Or just blankly stared at your shelves? Maybe even scrolled through KU only to feel like nothing sounded good? Well, that's where today's list comes into play. In today's video, I want to talk about the books that have helped get me out of a slump, or at least ones that I feel like would be good for getting out of slumps. These books all have similar qualities that are the key to getting out of a slump, which are fast-paced, completed or at least almost completed series, standalones, and easy to follow. Like, if they're fantasy, they don't have extensive world building, they don't have an extensive magic system, nothing's too confusing to follow along with. Now let's get right into it. Starting off, these are all going to be the fantasy recommendations that I have, and then after that it'll be romance. Assistant to the Villain by Nicole Maeher. This is a series and it's not complete. Only the first two are out. The third one comes out this year. The biggest reason I'm including this one, even though it kind of goes against what I said with the completed or at least close to being completed series, is the fact that this book did in fact help me get out of a reading slump. This is a fantasy rom-com. The world building, it's not extensive, but it's good. The fantasy aspect is there, but it almost just doesn't even feel like a fantasy when you're reading it. It heavily focuses more on like the comedy aspect. For all the chaos and just obnoxiousness that is happening during this book, it still stays lighthearted and funny. The banter in this is really good. The chemistry between the two main characters is really good. I couldn't get enough of this book. It does feel very fast-paced. It does have a really good plot. Even though the romance, it's like a 50-50, I feel like the plot is just so good that that's the biggest thing I was focusing on. It does have a cliffhanger at the end of this, but it's not one of those ones where you feel irritated by it. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's a good cliffhanger. And the plot twists in this, when I tell you that I truly did not even remotely see where this book was gonna go, I mean that. It was the first book in a while that when the whole thing was like revealed, jaw on the floor. I genuinely was like, no, there's no way. I highly recommend picking this one up. You're following Evie in this, and she has just lost her job as the like blacksmith assistant. So she is looking for a new job. She ends up becoming the assistant to the villain, and she doesn't want anybody to know in her village because this guy obviously is known as the villain. He is a wanted criminal, and he straight up has like a whole entire office going on in these woods. And it says, but just when she's getting used to severed heads suspended from the ceiling and the odd squish of an errant eyeball beneath her heel, Evie suspects this dungeon has a huge rat. And not just the literal kind, because something rotten is growing in the kingdom of Renadon, and someone wants to take the villain and his entire nefarious empire out. Now Evie must not only resist ruling over her boss, but also figure out who exactly is sabotaging his work and ensure he makes them pay. After all, a good job is hard to find. Pretend like I have all three of these. It's going to be the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. This one does happen in the same world as the Caraval trilogy. Now, you don't necessarily have to read the Caraval trilogy beforehand. That one's a very hit or miss series. I've seen people either love it or hate it. I don't see too many that are indifferent in it. It is different from this. I will give it that. I still enjoyed that trilogy. I think that it's a fun time. I loved all the characters in there. The biggest thing on why I say you don't necessarily have to read it is there is like a plot, like a timeline twist that's happening, but it's not super obvious. I kind of had to look into it to figure out where exactly they fell into play with each other. And I did read this trilogy first, and I wasn't confused. There's nothing confusing if you read this one first, if you never even read that one. The biggest reason I would recommend reading that is just because in this world, there are fates, and they're kind of like gods in a way. But the fates get introduced in Caraval, and they do kind of get a little bit more backstory in there than they did in here. In here, they're kind of just like briefly mentioned. There's nothing really talked about with them besides Jack. This is YA fantasy. It has a very whimsical tone to it when you're reading it. Very heavy on like the fairy tale aspect. They don't feel long. They are very fast-paced. They're lighthearted. They're just a fun time. It is just a fun time to read this. I absolutely loved it. The Ballad of Never After is one of my all-time favorite books. I think about going back and doing a reread of this trilogy constantly. I love it. It's such a good trilogy. This one, you're following Evangeline Fox, and the love of her life is about to marry someone else. She decides that she wants to stop this wedding from happening, and so she ends up going to strike a deal with the Prince of Hearts, which it's not recommended to strike deals with the Fates because they are very tricky individuals. And it says, she soon discovers that bargaining with the Prince of Hearts is a dangerous game. He has plans for Evangeline, plans that will either end in the greatest happily ever after or the most exquisite tragedy. Again, another, I seriously cannot recommend these enough. Then I have The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. This is a YA fantasy. This is a standalone. Very fast-paced. This is like Regency era. It had good plot to romance balance. I don't think one kind of smothered the other. I felt like it had a really good balance, which made it enjoyable. The main characters did have great banter and chemistry. I did really enjoy them together. So this one, vying for the hand of one brother, falling for another. Every citizen of England is granted one bargain from their immortal queen. High society girls are expected to bargain for qualities that will win them suitors. A rare talent for piano in exchange for one's happiest childhood memory. A perfect smile for one's ability to taste. But Ivy's debut season arrives with a twist, a competition to marry the queen's face on Prince Brown. It's a prize that could save Ivy's family from ruin and free her older sister from the bargain that destroyed her. Yet every glittering fey deal has a rotting heart, and amidst lavish balls, vicious competitions, and a dangerous alliance with the prince's rakish younger brother, Prince Emmett, Ivy realizes that at the center of this contest lies a dark plot that could destroy all of England and her heart with it. I gave this, I want to say either 4.75 stars or 5 stars. I can't fully remember, but I had a very fun time reading it, and it felt very fast-paced. Next up is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This is KU. This is a adult fantasy. This is a duology. They are interconnected standalones. You don't have to read the second one. The second one is called like Elantra, and it follows the sister to our main character in Phantasma. It's kind of like Hunger Games, but paranormal, more dark, very fast-paced, really good plot. There was a little bit more spice in this book than necessary. I felt like half the time I was like, why are we back to this? And there are a lot of like cliche moments in this. But with that being said, it was still a fun time. I'll just read you my review for this. All I have to say is Blackwell. He is reason enough to pick this book up. Think Damon from the Vampire Diaries meets Asterion from Baldur's Gate 3. Welcome to Phantasma. There are only 2 rules to the game. Stay alive and don't fall in love. When Ophelia's sister disappears, there's only one way to save her. Ophelia must enter Phantasma, a deadly contest inside a haunted mansion, and claim its prize, a single wish. Phantasma is a maze of twisting corridors and lavish ballrooms, of demons and temptations. Ophelia will face 9 challenges, each more dangerous than the last. There can only be one winner, and the other contestants will stop at nothing to eliminate their rivals. Every day the house creates new monsters, but just as Ophelia's fears threaten to overwhelm her, a mysterious stranger offers her a bargain. Charming, arrogant, and infuriatingly attractive, Blackwell claims he can guide her through the lethal trials ahead. All he asks in return is 10 years of her life. Ophelia knows she shouldn't trust him. Blackwell doesn't seem dangerous, but appearances can be deceptive. Worse still, she feels a dark and irresistible attraction drawing them closer and closer. Her life is on the line, but in Phantasma, the only thing deadlier than losing the game is losing your heart. Is it the best thing ever written? No. But it was a fun time. It was fast-paced. It had everything that keeps your interest going between the romance, the plot, the trials, the bargains that are being made. It kept my interest, and I like that if I want to, there's another book I can go to, but I don't have to because there's no like cliffhanger, there's no crazy thing at the end of the first one that will make you pick up the second one. I like that. Next up is At the End There Was You by Wendy Heiss. These ones are not KU, but they are fairly cheap. I want to say they're all like $2 to $4 on Kindle. But this is part of the Blues Fairy Tales. Again, these are more interconnected standalone, so you don't have to read the other ones if you don't want. Very short, but still good for how short they are. No extensive magic system, no extensive world building. So if you like to be more immersed in your stories, if you're looking for something that's gonna really like suck you into the world, this isn't necessarily gonna be for you. This is more so if you want something quick paced, kind of just a palate cleanser to have just a fun time, get you back into the reading mindset to move on to the next series you want. And with that being said, because it is more fast-paced and they are all short, I want to say this one was like under 250 pages. Very short. It is a little insta-lovey, which is not my favorite, but I still had a great time reading this. I do want to get to all the other ones, but this first one, the one that I mentioned, is the world will end in 7 days. Winter is a priestess. Her life is simple and uncomplicated, but shortly takes a turn when she is appointed as an aide for a mage who intends to stop the god of death from spreading a plague that would end their world. Both of them begin searching the Urvalis library for answers and find more than they had bargained for, and as the end approaches, the questions begin vaguing. Like I said, fun time. Fun time. Next up is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This one, again, interconnected standalones. There is another one coming out, I want to say in October of this year, that I believe is going to follow our main character's friend. This one is a paranormal romance, which is Ali Hazelwood's first paranormal romance, and she killed it. It is werewolf, so if that's not your thing, skip that. With that being said, again, it's not going to be for everybody, but it's fast-paced. Loved every single character in here. I did really like the chemistry and the banter between the two main characters. I really liked the plot to this book. It had a really interesting storyline to it, and I do want to get on to the next book because with the way that it ended, I don't necessarily have to pick it up because I have all the answers that I needed, but her friend with one of the other characters at the end of that book, I need to see where that's going to go. I need it. Misery Lark, the only daughter of the most powerful vampire councilman of the Southwest, is an outcast again. Her days of living in anonymity among the humans are over. She has been called upon to uphold a historic peacekeeping alliance between the vampires and their mortal enemies, the Wares, and she sees little choice but to surrender herself in the exchange again. Wares are ruthless and unpredictable, and their alpha, Lau Moreland, is no exception. He rules the pack with absolute authority, but not without justice. And unlike the Vampire Council, not without feeling. It's clear from the way he tracks Misery's every movement that he doesn't trust her. If only he knew how right he was, because Misery has her own reasons to agree to this marriage of convenience. Reasons that have nothing to do with politics or alliances, and everything to do with the only thing she's ever cared about. And she is willing to do whatever it takes to get back what's hers, even if it means a life alone in Were territory, alone with the wolf. Again, I had a fantastic time. Gave that 4.25 stars. Definitely got me out of a reading slump. I think I read that after, I want to say that was after House of Flame and Shadows that I read that. And after that thick-ass book, I didn't know what to pick up. That helped me huge. Then I have the Divine Rivals duology. This one is YA fantasy, but it is, how do I describe this? It's more like historical magical realism almost. It's happening during a war, and really the only magical thing about this is that the main characters have these magic typewriters where they can type letters to each other and then it like gets sent off to the other one. But easy world building, like I said, magic is next to nothing, so it's very easy to follow along. It had a good plot. I liked the first one a lot better than Ruthless Vows. The second one was good, but it was okay to me. I just really enjoyed the first one, but they are so fast-paced and easy to follow along with that. They're why that they're on this list. I think that they are definitely a really good book to kind of introduce you into fantasy and kind of dip your toes in the water if you don't know if you like fantasy or you don't know if that's something that you even want to get into. It's so bare minimum with the magic that I feel like it's a great starting point. After centuries of sleep, the gods are warring again. All 18-year-old Iris Winnow wants to do is hold her family together. With a brother on the front line forced to fight on the behalf of gods now missing from the front line and a mother drowning her sorrows, Iris's best bet is winning the columnist promotion at the Oath Gazette. But when Iris's letter to her brother falls into the wrong hands, that of a handsome but cold Roman Kit, her rival at the paper, an unlikely magical connection forms. Expelled into the middle of a mystical war, magical typewriters in tow, can their bond withstand the fight of the fate of mankind and most importantly love? Next up is the Shepherd King duology, which is One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. This is by Rachel Gillig. If you take one recommendation from this video, please let it be this one. To an extent. I guess I should, that is if you like gothic fantasy, because this is definitely more like dark, grim gothic fantasy than anything, but it's a great starting point if you don't know if you'd like that type of fantasy. Great starting point. The magic system in this is so unique to me because they are from like tarot cards. Just everything about this is unique. I've never read another series like this. Absolutely loved it. It felt fast-paced. It had a really, really good plot line to it. Really good plot twists. Good banter and chemistry between the characters. I loved every single character in here. There isn't one that I didn't like. Loved all of it. Book even had me crying at some points. I can't recommend this enough. Elspeth needs a monster. The monster might be her. Elspeth Spindle needs more than luck to stay safe in the eerie, mist-locked kingdom of Blunder. She needs a monster. She calls him the Nightmare, an ancient mercurial spirit trapped in her head. He protects her. He keeps her secrets. But nothing comes for free, especially magic. When Elspeth meets a mysterious highwayman on the forest road, her life takes a drastic turn. Thrust into a world of shadow and deception, she joins a dangerous quest to cure Blunder of the dark magic infecting it. Except the highwayman just so happens to be the king's own nephew, captain of the most dangerous men in Blunder, and guilty of high treason. Like I said, if you take one recommendation out of this video, please let it be this one. This duology is so good. So good. So unique. Fun time. Easy to follow along with. Great world building. But again, not extensive. Not confusing. Magic system, same exact thing. It's a great magic system, super unique, but not hard to grasp, not confusing whatsoever. I loved this duology. Next up, we have Kingdom of the Wicked Trilogy by Kerri Maniscalco. That's Kingdom of the Wicked, Kingdom of the Cursed, Kingdom of the Feared. Yes, I have these completely out of order. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know if that's the order. I'm gonna go with it though. This one I have mixed feelings on. I personally didn't overly love this series. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it. But I see so many people that absolutely love this trilogy. Like one of their all-time favorite trilogies. The biggest thing that makes me put this on this list is that one, it's a completed trilogy. Two, it's YA fantasy, but I'm gonna say upper YA because there's definitely still some spice in this. But the biggest thing is that, like all of these, they feel fast-paced. They have a very good plot. The plot is what kept me going throughout this whole entire series. I needed to know what was gonna happen. The magic system in this is a little bit more extensive than most of the other ones that I've listed, but like all of those, it's not confusing. It was fairly easy to follow along. The world building is amazing. The atmosphere to this, amazing. There's also a spin-off series to this that follows the Princes of Hell. You can leave it at just this if you want to, but if you really love this world, there's more that you can continue into. Two sisters, one brutal murder, a quest for vengeance that will unleash hell itself, and an intoxicating romance. Amelia and her twin sister Victoria are, I don't know how to say this, strag witches who live secretly among humans, avoiding notice and persecution. One night, Victoria misses dinner service at the family's renowned restaurant in Sicily. Amelia soon finds the body of her beloved twin desecrated beyond belief. Devastated, Amelia sets out to find her sister's killer and to seek vengeance at any cost, even if it means using dark magic that's been long forbidden. Then Amelia meets Wrath, one of the wicked, who are the princes of hell she has been warned against in tales since she was a child. Wrath claims to be on Amelia's side, tasked by his master with solving a series of women's murders on the island. But when it comes to the wicked, nothing is as it seems. I can't say much more on this series other than it was a good time. I definitely think it'll get you hooked into a new series that will make you forget about your reading slump. Next up is the Stars and Shadows series by Holly Renee. This is a fantasy series, and there's 4 books total, all on KU. They're all short. They're all like under 300 pages. If they are over 300, it's like barely. Very fast-paced, very little world building and magic system. There's a magic system, but it's there, but barely. Very easy to understand. This does have a lot of smut in it, though. It is a very spicy series. So if that's not your thing, skip this series. I'm telling you right now, you won't like it. I didn't mind it. I did think that it was a bit much at times, a little bit overkill, but still a good time. Super easy to binge. I mean, all 4 books took me like maybe a week to read them, which I'm a fairly slow reader. But again, another bonus is they're on KU. I don't mean this in a negative way when I say this, but you don't need a lot of brain power to follow along in this series. You can kind of just shut it off and read. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I feel like you have the fantasy that is just so overwhelmingly so much that like you're having to take notes while you're reading it just to be able to follow along. But then on the other hand, you have series like this that are just there for pure enjoyment. They're not there to be the greatest thing ever. They're not there to be super extensive. They're just there purely as entertainment. And that's what this is. I was entertained throughout the whole thing. There was a good enough plot to keep me interested and follow along. There was enough twists and turns where I didn't fully know what was going to happen next. There was enough drama between the characters. It kind of just felt like a little bit like a cheesy soap opera. But again, I had a good time. I had no complaints during it. Destiny or desire, where does your allegiance lie? I am told my union to the crown prince will determine the fate of the kingdom, but it isn't my betrothed who haunts my dreams. It's the half-breed prince who stands at his side. He is darkness and sin, and when he whispers promises of wickedness in my ear, I crave a man who I can't have. Every thought I have is treasonous. The way my hands ache to touch him deceitful. Even my dreams make me a traitor to the kingdom I am sworn to protect. But when the kingdom is attacked, I am forced to make choices that I'm not prepared for. Our lies and deceptions are entangled in the shadows and stars, and as they unravel, so shall my fate. Betray a kingdom or betray my heart. Next up, we have The Grim Tower Duet by Renee Rocco, another KU. This is like a dark Rapunzel retelling. Why choose? Duology. Both of them fairly short, super bingeable. A lot of spice in these books. It was fast-paced. It did keep me interested enough to make me pretty much read each one in one sitting when I did pick them up. I don't typically go for why choose, so that part kind of knocked it down a little bit for me. Forget what you've read. There is no Prince Charming in this fairy tale. Rapunzel spent her life as a willing prisoner locked inside a tower, protected by magic and guarded by a witch. She believed happily ever afters are the stuff of fables, until Ren Kincaid found her and opened her eyes to a world of possibilities. But he's no Prince Charming, and she's no ordinary girl. The king is tearing apart Rygard to find her, but he's too late. Ren already claimed her. Alright, next we're moving on into the romance books. Starting off is Funny Story by Emily Henry. What can I say? I feel like pretty much any Emily Henry book is perfect to get you out of a reading slump, because I couldn't give you a solid because it's really just everything about them. They're fast-paced. They have great chemistry and banter. I don't think I've read a single one where I didn't think the chemistry and banter between the two main characters was great. The storyline at this one, though, for some reason, I really have never been able to pinpoint it fully, but there's just something about this story that really had me invested in these characters. And I've tried to pinpoint it and I just can't, but I loved these two main characters so much. So this one, Daphne always loved the way her fiance Peter told their story, how they met, fell in love, and moved back to his lakeside hometown to begin their life together. He really was good at telling it, right up until the moment he realized he was actually in love with his childhood best friend Petra, which is how Daphne begins her new story, stranded in beautiful Waning Bay, Michigan, without friends or family, but with a dream job as a children's librarian, and proposing to be roommates with the only person who could possibly understand her predicament, Petra's ex, Miles Nowak. Scruffy and chaotic, with a penchant for taking solace in the sounds of heartbreak love ballads, Miles is exactly the opposite of practical, buttoned-up Daphne, whose co-workers know so little about her life they have a running bet that she's either FBI or in witness protection. The roommates mainly avoid one another until one day, while drowning their sorrows, they form a tenuous friendship and a plan. If said plan also involves posting deliberately misleading photos of their summer adventures together, well, who could blame them? I love this. Miles is probably my favorite Emily Henry main male character that she's wrote, which was very unexpected considering he's wearing Crocs. I had very little hope for this book leading into it, and it ended up being one of my top 3. I think this is my second. I think it goes beach read, funny story, book lovers. Speaking of which, next up is Beach Read by Emily Henry. Especially for this time of year, summertime, this is absolutely perfect to get you out of a reading slump. Again, just like Funny Story, it's fast-paced. The characters with their banter and their chemistry is phenomenal. The plot to this made me want to sit down and read this all in one sitting. Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. When she pens a happily ever after, he kills off his entire cast. They're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing they have in common is that for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring beach houses, broke and bogged down in writer's block. Then one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike a deal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy, and January will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on field trips worthy of any rom-com montage, and he'll take her to interview surviving members of a backwoods death cult. Everyone will finish a book, and no one will fall in love. Really. That right there should have been enough to make you pick this book up. Last but not least, I am missing one. I'm missing Powerless. I never bought that. The Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. This is all interconnected standalone, so you don't have to read any of them. I still would recommend reading them in order just because the characters are introduced throughout this series. So, I mean, it makes it more enjoyable and more like you get the little Easter eggs of the characters from the other stories, you know? But anyway, cowboy romance, perfect for summer. All of these, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're quick reads. They are a little bit quicker. Like if you're a faster reader, I think you could easily read these in either one sitting, if not just like 2 days. I'm a slower reader, so each book takes me a couple days to get through. Elsie Silver's writing is just so superior. I don't know what she puts in her books, but there is just something so addictive about her books and her characters. Like, I love all of the characters. I don't think there's been a single character that I haven't liked. A lot of these books, and this is the part that surprises me, there are a lot of tropes in her books that I just do not like. I don't like them. It is extremely rare that I find those tropes in another book and I'm like, wow, that was really good. Somehow she does it. Not somehow, it's her writing. It's the way she writes, the way she lays out her stories, and the way she makes these stories flow together that just, it works. She's great at writing the most controversial tropes that there are. You know which ones I'm talking about. Pretty much the only author that I've found so far that has had those in them where I'm like, that's great. Her writing is phenomenal. It's addictive. Can't get enough. The only one left in this that I haven't read is Hopeless, and I've enjoyed every single one of these books. I don't have anything bad to say. Also, all the men that she writes, superior. Far superior. Oh, and the last thing that I want to say about this is she will write the whole story and then like towards the end of the book, she will kind of give you a glimpse into like who the next characters are gonna be, and she'll like make them banter towards the end of the book, and of course it just makes you want to pick the next book up. They're also lighthearted and funny and cute. The dad, Harvey. I love Harvey. I love him. He's so funny. He's so funny. I think he might be the funniest character in this series. I need either a book about him and one of the girls' moms. You know what I'm talking about. I either need a book about them, or I need a book about him when he was younger and meeting his late wife, because I need a more in-depth story on that one, because it's when he talks about it in these books, it's so sad. It makes me tear up. I just love him so much. I need a story for just solely on him because he's just so funny and I feel like he doesn't get enough page time in these books. I haven't read any of her other series, but I see so many good things about all the other series, so probably really any of her books would be a perfect thing to get you out of your reading slump. Those are all the books that I have personally read that I think would be great for getting out of reading slumps. Whether they're just a full series that's just such a good time that you forget that you were in a reading slump, or they're just shut your brain off, you need a palate cleanser in between stories, pick them up, or just lighthearted, fluffy romances, you know? If you have any that helped you get out of a reading slump that weren't mentioned, please mention them down below, because I want this video to just have a huge list of things that people can look at, even ones that I have not read. I need more recommendations because lately I've been getting out of a reading slump and then just kind of spiraling back into it, and I don't really know what to pick up, and I feel like a lot of books lately have been getting like 3 stars from me just because they're not quite what I wanted. They didn't quite hit the way that I needed it to. They didn't get me out of that reading slump. I just still felt like, what do I even pick up now? So leave them down in the comments down below, because you know I'm always looking for new books, even though I have 140 plus books on my TBR. We're not going to talk about that today. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date with all my future videos. I upload new videos every Thursday at noon Eastern time, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!